There was again a terrorist attack at the entrance to Jerusalem, where there was a traffic pileup, and three terrorists come out of the cars and shoot people randomly in their cars, and there are videos going around about the attack, dash cam videos, and you see some people running out of the car and not running away from the terrorists, running towards the terrorists, and actually eliminating them, and that's incredibly brave and bold, and really endangering yourself for the sake of others, because they could have easily run the other way and save yourself, but they went and took responsibility and saved so many other people because of it, which is of course central to Jewish values. When I was taking my first aid course for the first time, I was actually shocked when the presenter told us that according to Australian law, and the same thing is true in most Western countries, you have no obligation to help someone who just falls in front of you, who has a heart attack or has a car accident or anything like that, and you're a bystander. You have no obligation to help. If you begin helping, then you have responsibility that you don't make a mistake, and if you do, you could be sued. But if you do nothing and you just ignore it and go away, you have no obligation. And I couldn't get my head around it, because of course in Jewish law that's not the case. And it's interesting, in Israel today, the law is that if you don't help someone and you're able to, you could have a year of prison for not helping. And it comes out of the mitzvah of the Torah, do not stand by when your brother's blood is being spilt. And Rashi comments on that. To see his death when you could help him. And the Rebbe asks, what's Rashi want to tell us to see his death? And the Rebbe answers that Rashi's telling us that the fact that you see something happening to him, that is the sign that you have to do something to help. In other words, what things do we have responsibility to deal with, to do something about? Those things that come to our attention. If it came to our attention, that's God saying to us, giving us a message, you have to do something about it. If it happens in front of you, you have an obligation to do something. Now we see this even more so with Moshe Rabbeinu in our Torah portion. Our Torah portion of Tetzaveh, Moshe's name is not mentioned. He's referenced, but he's not mentioned. And one of the reasons given is the following. From next week's Torah portion, we'll read about the sin of the golden calf. When the Jewish people worshiped the golden calf, God wanted to destroy the Jewish people. And Moshe Rabbeinu says to Hashem, if you forgive the Jewish people, fine. If not, erase me from your Torah. Well, so therefore, one portion of the Torah, Moshe's name is not mentioned. But the question is why? He gave a condition. If you don't forgive the Jewish people, but Hashem did forgive the Jewish people. So there's the idea that if you say something, even if it's conditional, it has an impact. But the Rebbe's father explains it in a very powerful way. The Rebbe's father says, this is what happened. Hashem says to Moshe Rabbeinu, I'm going to destroy the Jewish people. Moshe Rabbeinu says, but what's going to happen with the oath you gave the forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob? Hashem says, I will make a great nation out of you, and you're a descendant of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, so my oath is kept. Moshe says, you mean that I'm going to be the cause of you destroying the Jewish nation? No way. If that could be the case, whether you forgive the Jewish people or not, erase me from the Torah. You could read it that way. I want you to erase me from the Torah regardless. Why? Because the Torah could be a cause that you should destroy the Jewish people. I don't want to have any part in it. So Moshe Rabbeinu is showing us the incredible commitment he had to the Jewish people, to allow himself to be destroyed, to be irrelevant, to be take his whole life's mission to be extracted from it completely, because if this could cause the death of the Jewish people, I don't want part of it. And the reason that in one portion it remains that way is in order to give us this lesson, to teach us how we have to be there for others in their time of need. And now these hostages it's their time of need. We need to be there for them. Think about it. What are we doing for them? What could we do for them? So everyone has to do what they can. Those who are politically connected have a responsibility now to do what they can to help with the situation for the sake of Israel. When you have an administration who speaks in two sides of their mouth, the American administration, who says that the Palestinian state, which according the entire Israeli electorate knows that at this moment in time, speaking of that is just rewarding terror, inviting more terror. It's ludicrous. The fact that you could have conditions treating Israel like a little brother, like a baby. We'll give you these ammunitions, but you can't go into Rafah, you can't do this. Hello, they know what they're doing. They're doing what they need to do to safeguard their people. Don't make conditions on them. So those who are able, who were involved with leadership, with in the administration, must make their voices heard. I heard a talk by Alan Dershowitz now. He's speaking truth to power, and it should be a lot more of our Jewish people who have connections in the American political scene, who speak out and do whatever they can. This is their moment. But how about everyone else who doesn't have any political connections? What are we meant to do? What can we do? And the answer to that is, of course, we can cry out to God. We can cry out to God. And you know what? Sometimes it works. Well, it always works, but we don't see it always working. But we must do something. You know, this. We had the two hostages who were released last week. They went to a few events happened beforehand with their daughter. The daughter went to the Rebbe's gravesite. It was taken there by a shlucha in the 5 towns of New York. They went to the shul in Bell Harbor, Florida, where the Rebbitzin gets up. They spoke in front of 100 ladies, and the Rebbitzin gets up and says, "What can we do?" They didn't ask for money. They're not asking for anything, just awareness. And Rebbitzin says, "So what can we do? We need to go beyond ourselves, because really everything is in Hashem's hands. So if we go beyond ourselves, then Hashem hopefully will go beyond for the sake of the hostages." And she encouraged the daughter to light Shabbos candles, the son-in-law to put on tefillin every day. And when she said that, come to my husband's office tomorrow to get a pair of tefillin for your to put on every day for the sake of your father-in-law's release. The daughter pipes up and says, "Could I get another pair of tefillin so I have it for when my father is released, he'll be able to put on these tefillin." So this act, who knows? 2 weeks later, they were released. Remarkable. So the question is, what can we do? And so in 1990, the Rebbe came down for a talk. He said, all of a sudden, in the middle of just a mincha, he turns around and he says, "We just got notice from Israel that PLO is planning attacks against the Jewish people. And the reason we know about it is for us to do something about it." So the Rebbe suggested that everyone add in Torah every day. Everyone add in prayers. They should say 3 chapters of Tehillim, one of which should be chapter 150. And everyone should give charity instead of fasting. Because normally in a case like this, where you have these hostages, we should all be fasting. But we can't fast because it's not healthy, and therefore can't be productive. So instead of fasting, we're meant to give the money that the food costs to charity. So we should be adding Torah, adding Tehillim every day, giving extra charity for the value of the food that we eat every day. And by doing these 3 things, we are actually doing something for them. We could say to turn to Hashem and says, "This is what I'm doing. Please let them go. Please find a way to release them. Please do what you can." Because we know that we have the obligation to care for a fellow Jew. Moshe was ready to be eradicated. So the safety of the Jewish people. We all must be ready to stand up, to speak out for Israel, and to speak out to Hashem for the safety and security of the hostages, and indeed for the entire land of Israel. Shabbos.